Let's talk about your average, totally normal, end-of-the-world problem. You need to cook some beans, boil some water, maybe take the chill off a room, but you can't have a big smoky bonfire because, I don't know, maybe you don't want to draw attention from every curious person or creature for 5 miles. So you're stuck with a little camp stove that sounds like an angry jet engine and needs fuel you can't find. What if you could build a quiet, insanely efficient, nearly smokeless heater and stove from junk, using a design that was battle-tested in the siege warfare of the 15th century? Today, we're time-traveling to the Hussite Wars, to a circle of armored wagons, and we're stealing the design for their secret weapon, the Wagon Stove. The Hussites were Czech rebels who were seriously outnumbered. Their genius tactic was the Wagenburg, a mobile fortress made of wagons chained together. Inside this circle, they had to live, cook, and stay warm for weeks. A smoky fire would blind them and choke them. Wasting fuel was not an option. Their metal stoves were designed for maximum heat, minimum fuel, and stealth. They understood wood gasification centuries before it was a trendy term. They were burning the smoke, and we can do the same. All right, let's start with a riddle, a little brain warm-up. I am born in fire, but I am not a flame. I am consumed to make a greater flame. I am the ghost in the smoke that holds a second, hotter life. What am I? Think about it. We'll get to the blazing answer. So, the core principle here is secondary combustion, or wood gas burning. In a normal campfire, the smoke you see is wasted fuel, volatile gases and particles that didn't get hot enough to burn. The Hussite-style stove is designed to fix that. It has 2 chambers. The first chamber, on the bottom, is where you have your primary fire, a small, hot, controlled burn. This fire heats up the wood above it, releasing those gases, but instead of letting them escape as smoke, it forces them up into a second, superheated chamber, where fresh air is introduced through precisely placed holes. This fresh air mixes with the hot gases, and boom, they ignite, creating a secondary inferno that can reach temperatures that will turn the bottom of a steel pot orange. This means you get almost twice the heat from the same amount of wood. And what little exhaust comes out is mostly just carbon dioxide and water vapor. It's incredibly efficient and incredibly stealthy. Now, how do we build a modern, safe version? We're not going to forge iron. We're going to use a metal paint can or a small metal bucket, and a larger metal can or bucket. This is a feed can inside a burn can design. First, the inner feed can. Take a 1-gallon metal paint can. This will hold your fuel. On its lid, you'll punch a pattern of small holes, maybe a dozen, with a nail and hammer. This is your primary air intake and where your wood gases will escape upwards. Now the outer burn can. This is a larger 5-gallon metal bucket. You'll cut a large square out of the bottom of this bucket. This becomes your loading door. Then, near the top of this outer bucket, you'll drill a ring of holes all the way around. These are your secondary air inlets. The magic happens when you invert the whole thing. You place the small feed can, lid down, inside the large burn can. You load your dry sticks or wood chips into the cavity around the small can through the door. You light the fuel at the top. The fire burns downwards against gravity. This downward draft forces the gases through the hot coals below and then up through the holes in the inner can's lid, where they meet the fresh air from the top ring of holes and ignite in a beautiful, swirling secondary burn. It looks like a mini volcano. It's mesmerizing. Riddle answer time. The answer is wood gas, the volatile, flammable ghost inside the smoke. If you guess that, you're thinking like a 15th century siege engineer. What do you burn? Dry, small wood, twigs, pine cones, wood chips. You can even use compressed fuel pucks or charcoal. The key is that it needs to be dry. This stove is a tyrant about moisture. Wet fuel will smother it. Now for the super advanced, historically accurate hack. The Hussites would have likely used charcoal for even less smoke. You can make your own charcoal in a tin can with holes in it, cooked in a fire. Now you've got a 2-stage process: make fuel, then burn it efficiently. That's next-level closed-loop energy. Why is this better than a hole in the ground or a simple tin can stove? 3 reasons: efficiency, stealth, and safety. It uses less fuel, which means less foraging. It produces minimal smoke, which is a huge tactical and social advantage. And because the hottest flames are contained and elevated in the center of the unit, the outer metal stays relatively cooler, still hot, don't touch it, and it's less likely to tip over and spill fire everywhere. You can put a grate on top and boil a pot, or simply position it to radiate heat in a sheltered space. It's a piece of defensive infrastructure. So the next time you're putting together your gear, don't just think about buying a stove. Think about building a system that turns scavenged twigs into cooking heat with the quiet efficiency of a medieval engineer who was trying to survive a siege. This little piece of history isn't just a project, it's a promise. A promise that with a little knowledge and some simple materials, you can always conjure warmth from the cold and turn scarcity into sustenance. Now go find some cans, be safe, and build a little piece of the Wagenburg in your own backyard. You might just find it's the most reliable piece of gear you never bought.